No one had ever seen a human panic like this before. Elias stood frozen in the middle of the ship's cafeteria, his heart beating so fast it felt painful. He had faced vacuum leaks, engine fires, and combat drills without fear. He had always believed himself calm under pressure. That belief shattered in seconds. The problem was not danger. The problem was food. The alien vessel SCS Lumen was clean, silent, and perfectly organized. Smooth walls, soft lighting, no harsh edges. It felt safe, too safe. The kind of place where nothing ever went wrong, except something had gone very wrong. Elias stared at the floating menu symbols again, hoping they would change. They did not. There were only two options. Plant matter, protein source, no pictures, no explanations. He swallowed and chose the protein option. The tray arrived moments later. Raw, not cooked. Not heated, not even cooled, just pale, wet flesh, laid out like it was normal. The smell hit him first, sharp and wrong. His stomach twisted violently. Elias felt sweat form on his neck as he pushed the tray away. He asked what it was. The translator hesitated that, then answered with a word that meant living flesh substance. Elias almost threw up that night. He ate from his emergency rations in his private cabin. Dry, tasteless, but safe. He told himself it was fine. Just for one night the next day, he did the same. And the next dot, by the fourth day, the rations were running low. By the sixth day, his hand shook when he worked. Still, he said nothing, Varesh noticed. He was not security or command, he was an observer, trained to watch patterns and report small changes before they became large problems. The human was a problem. Elias collected cafeteria trays and never returned them. He accepted meals and never ate them in public. According to Varesh's estimates, the human should have been weak by now. But he was not. Elias moved with control. His eyes stayed sharp. His reactions were fast. That did not make sense. Humans were classified as omnivores, flexible eaters, moderate predators at best, durable, yes, but not exceptional. Varesh quietly logged the inconsistency. The ship announced a scheduled stop. A frontier colony world near the edge of Union space. A resupply and crew rest point. 3 local days. Most of the crew was relieved at Elias. Felt hope for the first time in weeks. He prepared carefully. He cleaned himself longer than necessary. Wrapped cloth around his body. Sharpened bits of metal he had quietly collected. Tied together cafeteria trays into rigid frames. When questioned, he gave a simple answer. Human custom, he said. The captain studied him for a long moment. Then, aloud it. Varesh followed. He told himself it was duty. He told himself it was curiosity. The truth was simpler. Something about the human felt wrong, not broken, not violent, focused. The forest of the colony world was alive with sound. Heavy air, thick growth. Massive trees with dark bark. The local predators stayed hidden, watching. Elias moved deeper, slow, quiet. Purposeful. Varesh felt a strange unease. This was not how prey moved through unknown territory. The ground shook. Something massive emerged from the shadows. The data called it a top-tier predator. A creature that hunted everything else. Even other hunters avoided it. Varesh froze. Elias did not. The human turned with impossible speed. Thunder cracked through the trees. Once, twice, again and again. The creature collapsed before it could scream. Blood soaked into the soil. Silence. Followed. Varesh realized, with growing dread, that Elias's breathing had not changed. His heart rate barely rose. The humans stood over the dead beast, calm and steady. And for the first time Varesh understood something the database had missed. Humans did not eat everything. They chose what they ate, and when they were hungry, they hunted. Varesh did not sleep that night. The imagery played again and again in his mind. The sound, the flashes, the way the massive predator fell as if it had been made of paper instead of muscle and bone. The human had killed it in seconds, with calm movements and steady aim. That was not luck. That was experience. By morning, the crew noticed something strange. Elias did not return to the ship. His signal remained active, steady, far beyond the safe perimeter. The captain assumed he was enjoying surface leave. Varesh knew better. He followed the signal at a distance, careful not to be seen. His species had evolved as watchers, not fighters. His senses were sharp, especially his sense of smell. Forest carried Ilios's scent clearly. Metal? Smoke? Salt. Varesh did not know what salt was, but the ship's database marked it as toxic in high concentration. The idea that a human carried so much of it made his skin crawl. Hours passed. The smell of smoke grew stronger. Varesh slowed as he reached a clearing. Then he stopped. What he saw made his breath catch. The predator's body had been opened with precise cuts. Organs removed carefully. Fluids drained into the soil. Strips of flesh hung from racks made of metal trays and branches. Arranged for airflow. Fire burned nearby. Controlled. Small, efficient. Elias worked like a machine. No wasted motion. No hesitation. He cleaned tools, turned meat, adjusted distance. From the heat, this was not feeding. This was processing. Varesh felt a deep, cold fear settle in his chest. This was preparation. The second day was worse. The smell spread. Thick, heavy, impossible to ignore. Even the local animals avoided the area. Varesh watched from hiding as Elias transformed the dead predator into compact, organized portions. He crushed white crystals onto the flesh. Salt. The database warnings echoed in Varesh's mind: toxic, corrosive, dangerous. The human used it in massive quantities. Varesh finally understood why the cafeteria trays were missing. They were storage. On the third night, Elias spoke. Still there? Varesh froze. His instincts screamed to run, but his body locked in place. He had been unseen his entire life. No one had ever tracked him like this. Slow footsteps approached. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Each step sounded louder than the gunfire from before. A shadow fell over Varesh. A human hand rested gently on his shoulder. Easy, Elias said calmly. You're shaking. Varesh expected pain, death, consumption instead. He was guided toward the fire and seated at a careful distance. Warmth washed over him. Elias returned to his work as if nothing unusual had happened. Varesh sat frozen, waiting for something terrible. It never came. After a long silence, Elias held up a small pouch. Nuts, he said. From hydroponics? You can eat those, right? Varesh nodded weakly. He ate in silence while Elias chewed strips of meat, cooked until dark and crisp. The sound of human teeth breaking muscle fibers made Varesh's stomach churn. Yet the human showed no aggression, no threat, only hunger and patience. They worked together by necessity. Varesh packed. Elias cut. The human explained nothing unless asked. When Varesh finally found the courage to speak, his voice shook. "You saved me." Elias glanced up. "Yeah? Why?" The human shrugged. "Didn't feel right letting it eat ya? That's it." Was all dot by dawn of the fourth day. The crates were full. Elias surveyed the work with satisfaction. His eyes were tired, but focused. "Should head back," he said. "Ship leaves soon." They carried the crates together. The return walk felt longer. Varesh felt like prey escorting a hunter back to its den. Crew members stared as they boarded. Whispers followed. Fear spread quietly, like a virus. The captain asked questions. Elias answered simply. "I solved my food problem." She did not press further. That night, Varesh submitted his report. He hesitated before sending it. Then deleted half of it. Some truths, he realized, could destabilize alliances. Humans were not dangerous because they were violent. They were dangerous because they were adaptable. They could endure hunger. They could plan. They could kill what others feared. And worse, they could do it calmly. Varesh understood now why the predators of this world ruled everything else, and why, in any ecosystem, humans would never be prey. A day later, someone was heard whispering in the corridor. "Thank the stars, the human is leaving." Varesh did not disagree. The ship changed after Elias returned. Nothing official was said. No alarms, no announcements. Yet everyone felt it. Crew members avoided the cargo bay where Elias stored his crates. Conversations stopped when he entered a room. AIs followed him, then quickly looked away. The cafeteria grew quieter, as if sound itself feared him. Elias noticed. He pretended not to. That was what made it worse. Varesh watched the fear spread. He had seen this before, on smaller scales, when a predator proved itself. When balance shifted. The difference this time was simple and terrifying. Elias was not acting like a predator. He was acting like a worker. He did his shifts. He fixed systems. He ate alone in his room. He cleaned his tools. He said thank you and excuse me. That calm unsettled everyone. Predators were supposed to roar. Humans did not. On the fourth day, after liftoff, a mechanic fainted near the recycler. The smell triggered it. Smoke, salt, meat. Medical staff responded quickly. The report listed stress response. No further action taken. But the whispers grew. They eat the strongest thing on every world. They hunt for pleasure. They do not share food because sharing is dominance. None of it was true. None of it needed to be. Captain Saito reviewed reports late into her rest cycle. Crew morale was dropping. Not sharply, but steadily. Fear was a slow poison dot. She called Varesh to her office. "You followed the human?" she said calmly. Varesh froze. "Yes," he admitted. She studied him closely. And Varesh chose his words carefully. "He did not break rules," he said. "He did not harm crew. He did not threaten anyone." "That is not what I asked." Varesh swallowed. "He is not what we thought omnivore meant, Cetas?" Feathers rustled slightly. A sign of unease. Explained. Varesh took a breath. "He does not eat when hungry alone. He prepares. He stores. He plans for months. He kills once and lives off it for a long time." Silence filled the room. "That is not predatory behavior," Saita said slowly. "No," Varesh replied. "That is survival behavior." Elsewhere on the ship, two junior crew members argued in whispers. If humans can eat super predators, what stops them from eating us? They didn't, they could. That was enough. Elias felt it when a maintenance request was quietly reassigned. When a training session was rescheduled, when no one sat beside him in briefings, he didn't blame them, he blamed the food. That was the irony. He had solved a logistics problem. Nothing more. The situation reached a breaking point during a routine drill. A systems failure caused a brief power drop. Emergency lighting activated. For less than 30 seconds, the ship went dim. Someone screamed. Someone else shouted. The human did something. Security teams mobilized before reason caught up. By the time power returned, Elias stood alone. In a corridor, hands raised, confused. "I didn't touch anything," he said calmly. Silence answered him. Then Captain Saita arrived. "Stand down," she ordered. Security hesitated. She repeated it. They obeyed later. She spoke privately with Elias. "You have become a symbol," she told him. Elias frowned. "Of what?" Saita hesitated. "Of misunderstanding." He leaned back. "Figures." She studied him carefully. "You are not in trouble, but you should understand something." "Go on. You represent your species here, whether you want to or not." Elias nodded slowly. "Yeah, that part I get. Your actions," she continued, "have made some crew feel unsafe." Elias looked genuinely surprised. "I saved one of them, I know." "That's it," he said quietly. "That's the whole story." Saita believed him. That, too, worried her. That night, Varesh reviewed human data again. Predators, pack behavior, persistence hunting, food preservation, tool creation, fire control. One line stood out. Humans evolved as endurance hunters, not the strongest, not the fastest, but the ones that always finished the hunt. Vass finally understood. Humans were not terrifying because they killed Isali. They were terrifying because they did not need to kill often. A message spread through the crew network. Unofficial, anonymous. Human on board, classified as ecological apex. The term was wrong, but the fear behind it was real. Lias packed another crate. The ship continued its journey, and somewhere deep in the vessel, a quiet realization took hold. If this was what one hungry human could do, what would happen when humanity arrived in numbers? The message reached Union space before the ship finished its next jump. It was not official. It was not signed. But it spread faster than any formal report ever could. Human on board, classified as ecological apex. Union analysts paused when they read it. Predator classifications were common. Apex species existed on dozens of worlds. Strong jaws, venom claws, speed. Humans did not fit any of those boxes. That made the report concerning. Captain Satta received the response 12 hours later. A priority channel. Union Oversight Command. They were polite. They were also nervous. "Captain Satta," the official said, feathers stiff with restraint. "We require clarification regarding the human engineer aboard your vessel." Saita already knew this moment would come. "What clarification do you need?" she asked calmly. "Multiple crew reports suggest fear, intimidation, and ecological imbalance." Saita's eyes narrowed slightly. "The humans saved a crew member's life," she said. "Followed all regulations. Consumed only approved local resources." "Yes," the official replied, "and killed a registered super predator alone." Silence hung between them. "That predator threatened my crew," Saita said firmly. "We understand," the official replied. "But perception matters. Saitiar ended the call without further argument. That worried the Union more than anger. Would have on board the ship? Elias felt the pressure shift again. This time, it was heavier. Security patrols doubled near his quarters. Not aggressively, just present. He ignored it. He focused on work. That did not help. Varesh found Elias in the engineering bay, calibrating a stabilizer. "You should be careful," Varesh said quietly. Elias didn't look up. "About what? About being calm?" Varesh replied. That made Elias pause. "You're serious?" he said. "Yes," Elias exhaled. "I'm not trying to scare anyone." "That is the problem," Varesh answered. "You don't try." Rumors mutated. Some said humans had glands that neutralize toxins. Some said they're trained by starving themselves. Others whispered that Elias chose the kill beast because it was the strongest thing available. None of them understood the truth. He just wanted dinner. A junior officer confronted Elias near the water processors. "Is it true?" the officer asked. "Is? What true?" Elias replied. "That humans eat predators to claim dominance." Elias blinked. "What? No? Then why?" "Because meat is meat," Elias said simply. "Calories are calories." The officer stared at him like he'd said something obscene. "You reduce ecosystems to math?" Elias tilted his head. "You don't?" That conversation spread faster than the truth ever could. Captain Sater requested a crew-wide briefing. Attendance was mandatory. Elias stood at the back, arms crossed, expression neutral. That, too, made people uneasy. "Humans are not a threat," Sater began. "They are a new species. Adjustment takes time." A voice spoke up. "They butchered a Gad." Sater fixed the speaker with a sharp look. "That good animal would have eaten you alive." Murmurs rippled through the room. She continued, "Fear comes from ignorance. And ignorance will get someone killed." She gestured toward Elias. "This human has saved lives, followed orders, contributed to this mission." Someone whispered, "For now." Elias heard it. He said nothing. Later that cycle, a Union observer boarded the ship at a relay station. They did not announce it. They went straight to Elias's quarters. "Engineer Elias," the observer said, "we need to ask you a few questions."
"Sure,"
Elias replied, stepping aside. "Want some jerky?" The observer recoiled instantly. "No," they said sharply. Elias shrugged. "Suit yourself." The interview lasted 3 hours. Diet, physiology, culture, psychology. Do humans view non-humans as prey? The observer asked. Elias leaned back. "No, then how do you explain we're adaptable?" Elias interrupted. "That's all?" The observer stared. Adaptability at that level destabilizes existing frameworks. "That sounds like a you problem?" Elias replied calmly. That line was flagged in the report after the observer left. Varesh found Elias staring out a viewport. "They are afraid," Varesh said. "I know. They may remove you." Elias nodded. "Figured. They may quarantine humanity." Elias turned slowly. "They can't," Varesh hesitated. "Why not?" Elias smiled faintly. "Because we already learned how to survive alone." That answer traveled farther than Elias ever would. Union Command convened an emergency council. The topic was simple. Humans were not aggressive. Humans were not hostile. Humans were unstoppable if pushed. and that terrified them. Back on the ship, Elias sharpened a blade, not for violence, for habit, and somewhere in Union space, a realization began to form. Humanity was not a danger because of what it did. Humanity was a danger because of what it could endure. The decision was made far from the ship, far from Elias, and far from any human voice. Union Command labeled it a containment discussion. Not an accusation, not a punishment, just caution. That word again. Caution was how wars quietly began. The council chamber filled with delegates from 100 species. Some feared claws, some feared venom. Some feared machines. Almost all of them feared humans now. They consume apex predators. One delegate said, they thrive on low-quality resources. Another added, they function without Union infrastructure. A third whispered, the Cherbing raised a wing. They do not attack. That makes it worse, someone replied. Silence followed. Back on the ship, Elias felt it before anyone told him. His access clearance was reduced. Nothing critical. Nothing dramatic. Just enough to notice. He could still work. Still move freely. Still breathe. But invisible walls had appeared. He laughed once. Quietly, in his room. Classic. He muttered. Via Raish. Received the notice Nix. Human engineer to be reassigned at Nix Union Hub. Reason. Species acclimation delay, a polite word for removal. Va Raish closed the message and sat very still. Elias was told during his shift. Captain Saita stood across from him. Posture rigid. They want you off the ship, she said. Elias nodded. Figures. This is not my choice. I know. They believe your presence destabilizes the crew. Elias smiled faintly. Funny? I thought I was fixing things. You are? She said softly. That is the problem. Word spread. Fast. Some crew felt relief. Some felt shame. Some felt something worse. Regret, that night. Something broke, not a system. A person. A junior technician panicked during a maintenance crawl. Tight space. Dim light. Recycled air. They froze. Heart rate spiked. Breathing collapsed. By the time the alert went out, the tech was trapped. Va Raish reached the access point first. Too small to fit. Security arrived next. Too slow. Elias arrived. Last. No one stopped him. They only watched. He didn't hesitate, didn't ask permission, didn't wait for orders. He ripped open the panel with his bare hands, metal bent. Screws sheared. The crawl space was too narrow. So, Elias made it wider. He reached the technician in seconds. They're not breathing. Someone shouted, I know! Elias said calmly. He pulled the tech free and began COMPRESSION. Hard, precise, relentless, minutes. Passed. Nothing. Someone turned away. Elias didn't. Then the technician gasped, coughing, alive. The corridor stayed silent. No cheers, no relief. Only Medical took over. Captain. Saita stared at Elias. You broke containment protocol? She said. Quietly. I broke metal, Elias replied. There's a difference. She didn't argue. Union oversight was informed within the hour. The report was clear. Human disregarded safety limits. Human exerted force beyond species norms.
Human save crew life?
The council argued again. He ignores procedure. He values life over rules. That is not compatible with Union order. Another delegate spoke softly. It is compatible with survival. Elias packed his things. Crates of food, tools, personal items. He expected no goodbyes. He was wrong. Varesh came. First, you did not have to help, Varesh said. Elias shrugged. Yeah, I did. Others followed. Quiet nods. Brief thanks. No one touched him, but no one avoided him either. Captain Saita escorted Elias to the docking ramp. I failed you, she said. No, Elias replied. You did your job. And? You? I did mine. She hesitated. Union space may not welcome you. Elias smiled, tired but honest. Humans are used to that. As the hatch closed, a final message reached Union Command. Crew morale improved following human intervention. Casualty prevented. Recommendation: reassess classification. The Council stared at it. Long hard they had tried to label humanity, predator, apex, threat. None of it fit. Humans were something worse. They were necessary. The transport pulled away. Elias leaned back. Finally full. Finally calm. Unaware that his actions had forced the Union to confront an impossible truth. You cannot contain a species that survives by adapting, and you cannot ignore one that saves you while doing it. Union Command did not sleep that cycle, or the next, or the one after that, because the problem in front of them refused to fit into any box they owned. Humans were not hostile. Humans were not obedient. Humans were not reckless. Humans were effective and effectiveness without control. Terrified empires. The final council session began with a simple replay. Footage from the maintenance corridor, metal tearing. Hands bleeding. A body pulled from a space too small for survival. No weapons. No armor. No hesitation. Just action. When the clip ended, no one spoke at last. The Chebing broke the silence. This human violated 6 safety regulations. A delegate answered calmly. And saved a life when our systems failed. Another added, they risked themselves without expectation of reward. A third voice followed, quieter. They did not ask permission. That hung in the air like a blade. Humans are incompatible with Union protocol. One counselor said. No, another replied. Union protocol is incompatible with reality. The chamber stirred. Far from the council, Elias waited. The transport drifted near a neutral station. No destination yet. Just holding, he cleaned a knife. He no longer needed. Old habit. The door chimed. He expected security instead. Captain Cetus stepped inside. You weren't supposed to board, Elias said. She tilted her head. I decided I was. He smiled faintly. Guess you outranked the rules. For now. She sat across from him. They voted? She said. Elias nodded. Yeah. They always do. They've classified humanity. He raised an eyebrow. That sounds bad. It's unusual. Union Command released the statement an hour later. Across 1,000 systems, it spread like shockwaves. Humanity. Adaptive survival species. Classification. Persistent generalist. Threat level. Context dependent. Engagement protocol. Cooperative priority. No containment. No quarantine. Do no restrictions. Just one warning. Do not corner. Do not starve. Do not force. Because forced humans did not break. They pushed back. Varesh. Read the announcement. Twice. Then a third time. Then he laughed. Not from humor, from relief. The Union observer who had interrogated Elias filed a final addendum. Humans aren't not dangerous because they hunt. They are dangerous because they endure. They do not seek dominance. They seek continuation. Oppose that, and they become inevitable. The addendum was quietly archived and quietly remembered. Elias listened as Seta finished explaining. So, I'm not exiled? He asked. No. Not? Detained, no. Not dissected. She almost smiled. No. Then what? They want you back? Elias stared. Back where? Anywhere you choose, she said. As a liaison. He leaned back slowly. You're kidding. I wish I were. Why me? Saita met his eyes. Because you didn't try to represent humanity? He frowned. I didn't? No, she said. You just survived. That answer mattered more than she could explain. Elias stood on the observation deck later. Looking out at the stars. Same stars, different meaning. He thought of Earth, of long nights, of cold meals and worse ones. Of ancestors who survived winters, famines, migrations, extinctions, no union, no rules, just persistence. A message arrived from Union Command, assignment pending. Frontier Advisory Role. Objective. Cultural integration through demonstration. Elias snorted. They want me to scare them politely. He muttered. Before he left, Varesh found him one last time. You could have killed me, Varesh said quietly. Elias looked confused. Why would I? Varesh hesitated. You knew I followed you? Elias nodded. Yeah, and... You didn't interfere, Elias said. That matters. Varesh processed that slowly. That is... not how predators think. Elias smiled. Good thing we're not just... predators. The transport ungoked. This time, no one watched in fear. They watched in understanding. Months later, on a distant world, a Union outpost faced collapse. Supply failure. Native megafauna encroachment. No safe food sources. They sent a request. Not for soldiers, not for weapons. For a human, the galaxy would learn. Slowly and painfully, what that meant. That humans did not conquer worlds, they adapted to them. And if you survived alongside them, you were better for it, and somewhere in the Union archives, a final note was added beneath humanity's profile. If they offered to cook for you, say yes, because hunger was temporary, but human persistence lasted forever.